Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Final Destination 2, the 2003 movie. So when it comes to this movie, I don't particularly like it. I don't full out hate it. It just doesn't do it for me. There's just a lot of stuff with this movie that feels off because they tried to be so different from the first. Part of me can appreciate that because it's kind of like, okay, coming into a new movie is now a franchise. You gotta be a bit different than the first. A bit different, but don't go changing all the rules if this movie is established to that and being connected to the first movie. Because the rules are important, just like Randy said in Scream. And so the rules started to shift and twist a little bit. But that's not the only problem I have with this movie. The best thing about this movie is the car wreck scene in the beginning. And that's about it. See, the thing about Final Destination is like, and I told this story before when I reviewed the first movie about a year or two ago. I owned the first movie, and I owned it because my freshman year of college, I started to get into horror movies for the first time. So I went to like Blockbuster, bought it on VHS. I took a chance with this movie. I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know none of the cast. Well, except for the Stifler dude, but I don't even think he's on like, the promotional cover and everything. But other than that, I didn't know nothing about this movie, and I just took the biggest chance ever. I didn't watch no trailers, no nothing, and I absolutely love this movie. This movie, in my opinion, was fresh. It felt original. And it wasn't much for me to go on, because like I said before, I wasn't into horror, but still, it just like from like other horror stuff I've seen now, it feels so original. Like this isn't based on like no previous movie or like a novel or nothing like that. And it was really something exciting, like the fact that these kids and this one adult like cheated death, and death succumbing for them, and death comes for them in the most eeriest, like slow manner type way that it really builds the intensity and the fear and everything. Not to mention, they're trying to find a way to prevent their death. And not only that, but it's like the characters are pretty likable. Even Carter, who I can't stand, at least he has a personality. And so, like, the special effects with the practical stuff and the CGI, it just all came together very nicely. But then comes this movie, and it decided to kind of flip things around so it wouldn't be similar to that of the first. Still, it's that great, like, action, like death scene in the beginning. But the problems I'm having with this movie is one main reason is like, I don't care for none of the characters. I really seriously don't. And one reason why I don't care about these characters is because we really and honestly don't truly know who they are. I mean, technically, yes, in the first one, we really don't know who they are either. We just know they're high school people. So you feel bad because they're high schoolers, they're young, and they barely lived a life. I just came from high school being in college at that time. So I had a little connectiveness to that. But it's like you get a good sense of like, since they're high schoolers, you don't care about where they work. They don't have a major. And so you just go based on their personalities. Here's a little different because now they're adults. And so you kind of get a little bit more curious about who they are and what they do and why I should care for them. Not only that, but they don't know each other. The cool thing about the first one is that they all went to high school. Some of them had classes together. Some of them kind of knew each other. Some of them kind of didn't. But they all came together because they had that connectiveness of being high school students. Here is just a bunch of random strangers. At first, we see Kimberly's three friends, and we assume we're going to go through this journey of a 2-hour movie with them, but then it flips it on its head and it kills three of them. So then Kimberly is left having to deal with a bunch of strangers and stuff. And so because they don't know anybody, it kind of makes you wonder, why the heck does Kimberly even care to save these people and stuff? You know what I'm saying? She don't know them. She kind of acts like she doesn't care about them, and her expression is very dull. Not only that, but they don't really come together in a really meaningful kind of way because they don't know each other, and they spend the entire movie kind of distant from each other, and then when they are together they're kind of arguing with each other. So you don't feel that whole, okay, well, I want you to live because you're a nice person. It's like, no, I don't care. Every person has, well, almost all of them have a grouchy type personality, or like an irritating personality, or a very bland, boring, blasé type personality. There's nobody really there that excites me. There's nobody there I'm rooting for. And so I don't personally care. And that's a huge problem. This is why the first one was so good and the third one was so good and everything. Because I remember back when I reviewed this, I think I said I don't like none of the sequels, maybe except for one, but I don't remember which one that was, until I started rewatching them because they're back on HBO Max. Or at least they was back in February and everything. Because they took these movies off for the longest time. And so I tried to watch the fourth one. I couldn't get 10 minutes into that, so I turned it off. And then they put the other ones on there. And so I rewatched the second and the third, and I really enjoyed the third. The third should have been the second movie. The third kind of went back to basis of, okay, here's a group of high school students, so you feel sorry for them because they're young. They kind of know each other because they're in a high school, and like even the ones who really don't know each other that well, they kind of they start to get to know each other a whole lot better, so they come together a whole lot better, as opposed to that the second, where it's like, you know, how they gonna find each other, but then all of a sudden the one cop is able to find everybody, and they all come together in this one room and they talk for a little bit, but then they all try to leave, and then the premonition thing happens, and then like all of a sudden in the car ride they all like, oh yeah, I cheated death before this, and then and that's how they came together with that. And so, like, you know, it's just kind of hard to believe. Another problem I'm having with this movie is the acting. Now, with the first movie, you had a bunch of TV stars and newcomers to movies. The only person I knew of was Stifler from the American Pie movies. Something William Scott, whatever his name is, Sean William Scott. And like, you know, that's really all who I knew at that time. Now I know everybody in that movie, and I've seen them in other stuff. And so some of them were like newcomers and others were like TV stars. In this movie, however, just about everybody's a television star, and it shows and everything. And so the acting's kind of here, not there. You know what I'm saying? But then another reason why I'm not feeling this movie are the two leads, but more importantly, the first main lead, Kimberly, played by AJ Cook herself. I'm sorry, nothing against this woman, but her acting was horrible in this movie. It's almost like she didn't care or didn't want to be there. She just phones in everything. She has no expression. The only time I ever seen her have an expression when she smiled or screamed one or two times, and that's about it. Other than that, she just looks like she's always bored. She's unattentive, like she could care less. And so if she don't care, why the heck should I care? You know what I'm saying? And so I can't get invested in the main lead if she doesn't care enough to like give a performance and everything. She's just kind of there and don't want to be there. And because she has this blase type personality, why the heck does she care about saving all these other people's lives? Now, the dude who plays a cop, he just seems kind of boring. He doesn't even act like a cop. He doesn't feel like a cop and everything. And so these two boring leads are just getting on my nerves. I mean, when you make Ali Lartner like acting look like an Oscar like worthy performance, then you know you messed up. And that's not the only people that thing, like, I couldn't stand in the movie. But back to the characters, it's just kind of like you have these generic type characters. You have your main lead. You have the ally who becomes like this kind of love interest. You have you have this stereotypical like rude teenage boy and everything. You have this like pothead, not pothead, but what is he? Like a crackhead and everything. Then you got this little douchey dude who won like the lottery. And by the way, I remember him from I Will Always Know What You Did Last Summer. I couldn't even make it through that review without laughing throughout the entire thing. That movie was horrible. Oh man. Then you have the stereotypical smooth talking black dude who later they made him into three different stereotypes. First he's the smooth acting black dude, then he's the angry black dude, and then he's the black dude with a gun. I mean, come, what the heck? The first black person in this franchise, and y'all do that. But it gets worse by the third, because that black dude in the third movie got on my nerve. Oh, Hollywood, I swear to God. And so, like, and not only that, but there was way too many, like, fake outs in this movie to where I could not get invested. First there was the group of friends in the beginning, and those group of friends were annoying, except for Sarah Carter character. I remember her from Los Luchadores. I reviewed that a long time ago. And so her friends were annoying and everything. But then that was the first fake out. Then, like, the next fake out is like, the whole, if you bring life into the world, it'll stop death's like, curse or whatever. So they're on this trip trying to find the pregnant lady. But then that was another twist, a cop-out type thing, a red herring. Because it had nothing to do with her because she wasn't even involved in the crash and stuff like that. And so then the other thing I had a problem with were the premonitions and stuff. Okay, here's the thing, right? The movie was directed by David R. Ellis. May he rest in peace. Nothing against him because I like his other movies. I like his family-oriented movies. But when it comes to horror, he couldn't quite hit the mark the way he needed to. And, along with the writers, Eric Brass, no, not Brass, Barres, well, how you say his last name, and what's the other dude name? I think it's J. Markey, J. Mackey, Gruber or something like that. The problem I have with these three is that, like, the last two are the writers, and I don't feel like they wrote a strong enough movie. It doesn't feel like a theatrical movie to me. It feels like a direct-to-DVD movie or a TV movie that's trying to build on this franchise, like it really does. But the thing about, like, David is, like I said before, he's not really good with suspense, and he's not really good with horror. But may he rest in peace. Like I said before, I like his other movies. It doesn't have that same feel as the first movie when the premonition stuff starts happening and death starts doing its thing and then it kills people. It happens very quickly. The premonitions are, I'll get into that a little bit later. Oh, actually, I'll get into that a little bit now. No, actually, I'll get into that a little bit later. So, like, okay, first, the stuff when death is doing its thing. It moves very quickly around the room and this and that. It's almost like death is playing with you in this movie. And then when the actual death stuff happens, it happens so fast, you're not sure what the heck happened, so you kind of can't take it in too quickly, you know? Taking it in slowly and stuff. Then there are like the premonitions and stuff. They try to be different to where there are really no premonitions the way they were in the first and third movie. Now, Kimberly just sees everything through her eyes, but she's not even seeing everybody else's premonition, but she assumes she is. That's another fake out and everything. She's seeing her own death and everything. And it's kind of like, woman, how do you not know what your hands look like? And so she's always wrong with her premonitions because she thinks they're like somebody else and stuff. So all these other people are dying because of her mistake. How is she supposed to save people and she's letting people die? Because she keeps interpreting them the wrong way, people are literally dying because of her. And so that's not good writing and stuff. Now, and then the thing is, this kind of explains why I don't like the fourth movie. The fourth movie, I think, was horrible. The CGI on the deaths were way too CGI. This is when the franchise started to go downhill. But like in the first and the third movie, I really enjoyed those because it had a different writer and it had a different director and stuff. And so like Jeremy Reddick was the one who wrote these movies. He also had the story of the second movie, but it was written by somebody else. Now, James Wong, he is the one who directed the third and the first, and it really shows. Like after I got through watching the second, I watched the third, and immediately I'm all like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's the good stuff from the first movie. See, the thing about James and the thing about Jeremy and everything is like they really know how to build up on suspense, intensity, fear and everything, anticipation. And so, not intensity, but anticipation. I'm thinking of something else. And so, when you see the premonition stuff happening, it's slow. It's like chilling. Things are rattling around. You're not quite sure what you're looking at, so you gotta pay close attention and everything. And then when it gets to the death stuff, it's slower and stuff. It's slower because it builds up your anticipation of fear. And I love that. The way James does it is like another thing. It's like he's in a void. When you're watching these movies and the death stuff's happening, it's like your mind enters a void. And all the death stuff that happens, it's almost like doing a slow motion like dance. Almost like its own rhythm dance and everything. And you go from one step to the next step to the next step to the big like finale and everything. And the depths are more like engaging and everything. Because you take the time of going around the room, setting it up, and then splat. You know what I'm saying? Like that the third movie, the tanning bed scene. Holy crap! Because there are 3 burn scenes in all 3 movies. The first one was the plane crash. That was a good burn death. Then the tanning bed thing, where you don't see their faces burn off like in the first one. You still get that impression of what's going on in the bed. Then you get the second one where Claire and Eugene just burn up, and it's weird because the flames happen fast, but then they go slow, and then it just burns your face, and you're just like, what the heck am I looking at? And then you're just burnt alive and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I'm not feeling that, you know what I'm saying? And so this dude was really good with what he created and stuff. Still, no offense to like, Ellis and everything, but it's just like he's not really used to doing horror. He's mostly doing like friendly family movies. And as for like Jay Mackie Gruber and Eric Bress and everything, I don't like the way how they wrote this stuff, man. And it's kind of almost like, I can appreciate the fact that they wanted to change the rules in reversing the kills and everything, because that was different from the first. I do find it intriguing. They tried to tie it into the first movie, saying that, these people were supposed to die, then they didn't. It screwed up Death's plan, and these people lived their normal lives, and then they interfered in other people's lives, and what they did prevented these new people from dying. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of like really interesting. This is why every movie kind of just needs to be its own standalone thing. The third one claims to be a standalone thing, but it's really not, because they tied into the first movie of the events of the first movie. Therefore, it is canon. And the two survivors of like the second movie was supposed to show up in the third, but one couldn't make it because of scheduling conflict. And so they decided to skip both of them. But then here's the problem with the second one. Another big disappointment I had was there's no Alex. Alex from the first movie. When I heard they was making a second one, like, because we saw Alex live and Claire live at the end of the first one. We wasn't sure about Carter, but we know Carter's dead. So we kind of like, yeah, Alex get to come back. Alex was very engaging. Alex literally tried to figure out what was going on, how he could save everybody else. He was going kind of crazy, sounding crazy in the head. Everybody thought he was crazy because this was something new, and he was trying to figure out the best way he could. And even when stuff started happening, some people still didn't believe it, until they finally started to. And when they didn't listen to him, they ended up dying. But then, death still came from them anyways. But Alex was such a cool character. And Devin Sawa, he had another movie to do. So what did they do in this movie? They killed him off screen by saying a brick dropped on his head and he died. That was so wrong, man. That was so wrong. And then what makes it worse, they cast a teenage boy who looks very similar to him and stuff. I'm all like, he ain't Alex. Don't try to give us Alex Light, Alex 2.0. So then I found out Claire is going to be in this movie. So I'm like, cool, Claire was kind of a cool person in the other movie. She was kind of like the stranger who knew who everybody was, but didn't really know who everybody was. She eventually started a love thing with like Alex towards the end of the movie because they hung out so much in like, the movie. She was very skeptical of him, didn't believe him and everything, and she kind of did that Matrix philosophical thing of, what if this isn't all like real? Like, what if this is not the plan? What if this is not fate or whatever, and blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So she was a really interesting character who just didn't go along with everything Alex said, as opposed to this movie, because they wanted to twist it around to where the cop dude went along with everything Kimberly was saying. And so she was smart to lock herself in the crazy house, a nice padded room to where nothing could hurt her and everything. But then the thing don't make no sense is like she has a suspect wall collage type thing of trying to figure out everything from the first movie, but she knows how everything happened in the first movie. She is the sole survivor. Nothing can loop back around to those other people because they're dead. It's just gonna come for her now. So why does she have all this for? Unless it's to remember all the people that she lost, but that's not really explained too well. I feel like they kind of just shoehorned her into the movie. Her personality is completely different. Her hairstyle is different. She's a brunette. But then at the end of the first movie, she did dye it blonde. So I guess she decided to keep it and everything and re-dye her hair and dye her hair as she went to the crazy house and everything. And so, like the new cast, well, at least two of them, Kimberly and that dude, he goes to see her, and she's all like, "I can't help you. Just leave me alone and everything. Death's coming for you, and blah blah blah." So, after a rude exchange between both the female protagonists, for some bizarre reason, she later decides to leave and help these people. Why? She don't know them. She has no ties to them. If she leaves, she's gonna die. But she decides, oh, I might as well help these people. Somebody help me. So of course, she takes them to William Bloodworth, the mortician from the first movie. And in this one, he's more quirkier and everything. Oh, and in the first one, he was eerie and scary and mysterious, but here he's just quirky and stuff. And he knows everybody's name, but he doesn't explain how, even when they ask him. And the thing is, he knew everybody's name from the first movie because of the news. But he tells them, you gotta look for the clues and bringing a new life into the world, whatever, will like change death design and break your curse and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And it led people to believe that he's more than just a mortician. Some people believe he is death himself. He out of all 6 movies, because the new movie's coming out, I think in May or March, probably May. And he's been in 3, but he was absent for 3. But the third movie, his voice is actually in the movie, but you don't see him and stuff. And may Tony Todd rest in peace. It's so sad he died. And so like another thing that's confusing is like just the whole fact that Kimberly can see her premonitions through her eyes. This is something completely different than the first one, and it takes away from the mysteriousness of it all, But this one don't make no sense. Only the main protagonist has the premonitions, right? They can see everything. So when everybody's gathered around, the crackhead dude, what's his name? Is it Ellis or Eli or... Oh, it's something. It's not Eugene. That's the black dude. It's not Tony. I forget his name. Anyways, he sees a shadow of like a toy or something that has a shadow of a man, and then there's like these clothes hook things, And he's all like, there's a man with hooks for a hand. That's the clue, that's the sign. So of course, that's a nod to Candyman with Tony Todd. But hold up, how is the crackhead able to see a premonition? How is he able to get a clue? He shouldn't be able to, because he's not the one getting the premonitions. It's technically Kimberly and everything. Unless he really is, and he's so stoned, he has no idea. But this completely negates that of the rules of the first movie and even the third. Because it's not everybody who gets premonitions. It's literally one and everything. And so, there's just so many things about this movie that irritates me. And people keep saying this is better than the first. No, it's not. And people keep talking about, oh my God, this movie is so awesome. No, it's not. This movie feels like it was rushed. It really and truly does and stuff. And that's why it had mixed reviews. It's just not very good. It's not as engaging as the first or like the third and stuff. And I haven't even got to this character yet, because, yeah. So, T.C. Carson, he plays Eugene. And I remember him from Living Single. And I remember I saw an interview with him a few years ago where he said he did this movie and he wishes that he never did. Like he just feels like it was just like a bad decision he made by making this movie. But he didn't say the name of the movie. Well, he gave the year of when like either the movie was made or when it came out. So like everybody in the comment section, here I am going through Wikipedia. I'm all like, okay, it's either this movie or another movie. I bet you it's this movie. He's never confirmed it, but I bet it's this movie. And so, like, his character, they rolled three black stereotypes into one. First, when he's talking to people, he's talking to them like he's making love to them and everything, trying to be all like sexy and everything. Then he's another stereotype because he acting like the crazy angry black man. So no, wait, there's four stereotypes for him. There's the sexy, suave, debonair type with the swagger. Then there's the angry black man because he's being rude to people and everything because he doesn't believe in what Kimberly says. Then he's acting like the crazy black man when all this stuff starts to happen. And during the time of him going crazy, he pulls out the cop's gun. He just grabs the cop's gun. It's like, oh, he has a gun because he's black. But then what's crazy is that he is literally the only person in the movie who has lost his freaking mind to where he does similar to what Carter does. He even repeats a line that Carter says, you know, like, I determine my own fate and everything. I say, I choose when I die and blah, blah, blah. That's literally what Carter said. And then he tries to commit suicide just like Carter and everything. I'm all like, y'all couldn't even give him his own original character. You had to make him into Carter. But the black version of Carter. So he literally pulls the gun and he keeps pulling the trigger 6 times, but none of the bullets will come out. Because when it's not your time, you can't die, similar to that of the first movie. That happened about like twice and everything. And I'm just like, everybody else in this movie is being calm, cool, collective, and the black man's the one who's going crazy. Although his death was kind of like suspenseful and everything because, you know, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I didn't know if he was going to get electrocuted or he was going to have no oxygen or like what. It wasn't really like explained. But then with that whole fake out of like the pregnant lady and everything, then Death's kind of like, all right, bye, and it goes away. But then when it's revealed that that was a fake out, here comes Death again. And he gets incinerated, and so does Claire. You know, back to Claire. Oh, before I get into Claire, if you've ever watched South Park, then you will understand this reference with the walkie-talkie and Steven Spielberg's cartoon face. If you never watched South Park, then you have no idea what this means. Basically, they spoofed Steven Spielberg because he redid his E.T. movie years ago and he replaced the guns with walkie-talkies through CGI and everything. So I didn't want to show like a gun pointed towards a person's head, so you get the gist. You know, at the end of the first movie, when they're in Paris and Alex is having a premonition, and then Claire kind of looks into the window and it's like she's having a premonition too of a car that's about to hit Alex. So she turns around and she says, Alex, and you hear the premonition music. It made it seem like she was having premonitions towards the end and Alex was going to die. So of course somebody had to have premonitions. Now there's a deleted scene where she has Alex's baby and I think she's supposed to have premonitions after that, or it just stops Death's curse or something like that. But it was too grim and they cut it. Now you come in the second movie and she's just regular old Claire with no premonition powers and stuff. And I wish it was kind of her who was having the premonitions, but she would have to be away from the crazy house in order to see like the death stuff start to happen and stuff in the vicinity of when it was happening. So yeah. But I'm not done with all the weird stuff yet. So anyway, the movie. you have Kimberly. Her and her friends are going like on spring break or something like that. And she has the premonition of a huge car crash on the highway. And so she's trying to warn everybody, and then some people live and then everybody else dies. And so like next thing you know, the dude who won like the lottery, he dies, and this reminds her of, oh, that thing that happened in the first movie and stuff. Must be similar. So she starts to interact with the cop. They become like allies. And so they try to find the rest of the people, but they kind of find them really quickly off screen. So it would have been cooler if it would have been more of a build up of them finding everybody, but hey, whatever. And so she's having all these stupid premonitions. She don't know it's her. People are dying and everything. She goes get Claire. More people are dying and stuff. And then when they go visit the mortician, he's talking about, the whole life thing. And they remember there was a pregnant woman. So they go to find her. And so when they find her and she's safely put in jail because they lie. Oh my God. Talk about like discrimination, man. The one Latina, like Dominican actress in the movie, the cop pulls her over and all like, this car is stolen. Totally lying to her because they had to keep her safe and everything. And here she is getting like booked and everything, put in jail, and people are all like, yo man, this stuff happens to us all the time and nobody believes us. But then she's supposed to start to give birth, and so they had to let her out. And so they're racing to get her. And then there's another accident on the highway. Keegan Taylor, what's Keegan's last name? Keegan Taylor Tracy is in this movie as well. And so she dies very quickly, and then Crackhead dies very quickly. And so then, but before Crackhead dies, God, what is his name? Anyway, he saves a little random boy who was trying to save them and almost got hit by a car. I don't get it. It's like, shouldn't this throw Death's plan out of rack and everything? Here's the thing. In the first movie, whatever they told us the rules were, I believed it. Like, okay, whatever, I can follow this. I cannot follow the rules in the second movie. But anyways, everybody's dying, and, they go to the hospital. And once again, she screwed her premonition up. And so they arrest the doctor for no reason. But then she realizes when she sees a sign talking about, like, something drowning, something bringing new life, and she's all like, oh, that's the sign. It's not like the pregnant lady drowning and everything and bringing new life in terms of a baby. I have to kill myself and everything, and that will stop the curse. And the doctor lady I saw is supposed to resuscitate me and everything. So she goes and she kills herself. He jumps in after her. She gets resuscitated. How is that really supposed to break the curse? I still don't understand. And they're trying to be clever with the whole rules of bringing a new life into the world thing. Like, no, she's still one person. That's still her same life and everything. And like, I just don't get it. Like, I really just don't get it. And then people online talking about, oh, it's so easy to understand. All you gotta do is read the sign. No, don't give me that bull crap that because you saw the movie and you don't understand, so you assuming you just going for whatever the writer say. No, don't give me that bull crap, man. Anyway, and so like, but then the weirdest thing happens, right? Remember that family and that little boy I said who tried to save them on the road and everything? So, like, for some reason, Kimberly's dad, decided to go pay this family a visit and have a barbecue. Why? They don't know them. And then all of a sudden, the boy blows up next to the barbecue grill. And his arm falls in like his mom's plate because he was supposed to die and he cheated death when Crackhead saved him and everything. And so it's kind of like, well, hold up. So, but I don't get it. So it's like, okay, death came for him and not a group. But then what happened to the two survivors of this movie? Are they still cursed or whatever? Are they not? Don't know. So far, they're still alive and everything. Now, in the third movie DVD, it said they got ate up by like a wood chipper or whatever. But that's non-canon. In my opinion, it's canon because I don't like these two characters, but hey, whatever. There's also tons of drug references in this movie, like from Kimberly's friends like smoking weed in the beginning to the crackhead dude doing his drugs like constantly in the movie. But crackhead dude is actually pretty nice. The only funny thing about him is that when he thinks he might die, he tells Kimberly, you know, if you outlive me, just go to my house and like get rid of all my drugs and porn. I don't want my mom to be disappointed in me. Like, oh my God, dude. But other than that, we don't really know nothing about this dude. And so I just don't like this movie at all. It's better than the fourth movie. I can't get through the fourth movie. I've actually never seen the fifth, so I really don't know. But I'm gonna try and watch it. I might try to watch the fourth again. I might have to fast forward through the stupid parts and everything. But it's just like I can't with this movie. Like I don't get why people love this movie. I don't get why people say it's better than the first. How? The characters suck. The acting suck. The deaths suck. Everything suck with this movie. The new rules suck and everything. And it's just like, you know, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why people like this movie so much. It doesn't even feel like a actual theatrical movie. It feels like a TV movie or a direct to DVD. And I could tell they was filming in Canada. I don't know what it is about Canada. It's like this really clean looking place. And I'm just like, haha, that's Canada whenever I see it in a TV or a movie. I don't know what it is. It just always looks super clean. That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.